Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't seen part one, jump back and see it. It's really good. We are so excited to share more information about Aaron. Thank you so much.
Here at The Whole Person, we believe everyone deserves the chance to live independently and with confidence, regardless of ability. And to make that happen, we need volunteers like you. By joining us, you'll have the opportunity to support impactful areas, from administration and event planning to hands-on roles like assisting with our blind and low vision programs or helping at our special events like the Big Dill Classic and Expressions Art Exhibition. Every role, whether it's outreach, community engagement, or even offering pro bono professional services, makes a lasting difference. The Whole Person serves over 2,500 individuals annually, and with your help, we can make their dreams a reality. As a volunteer, you'll become part of a vibrant, supportive community dedicated to empowering people with disabilities. Our roles are flexible, meaningful, and tailored to fit your interests and expertise. Ready to make a difference? Visit thewholeperson.org/volunteer to explore our wide range of volunteer opportunities and get involved. Together, let's make independence accessible for all. Just a little of your time can lead to amazing change.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. We are kind of doing a part two here with Aaron. We did have some difficulties with different appointments and conflict in that area. So we are welcoming Aaron back because we were having such a great conversation. So we wanted to continue that and learn a little bit more about what you do and some of your insights. So if it's okay with you, we have a couple of questions here that we have gone through together that we'd like to just hear more about from you. And if you don't want to answer them, I know number two is kind of throwing you, but if you would like, we can go through some other ones. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for having me back again. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So looking at question one here. Okay. It would be really interesting to hear about what are some of the common misconceptions that you have seen
Mm.
for people about accessibility and inclusivity design. And how do you work to challenge these assumptions? I know because I'm in the blind and low vision community, I have experienced a lot of these difficulties, but I would love to hear it from somebody who's sighted and has experienced it from a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I think so. One thing that's been really big, and it almost becomes like a trigger for me, is
Oh.
like Braille. Like that's all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you just add Braille and that's it. Like that, and also the lack of understanding for the actual like amount of Braille literacy in the world. And it's
Mhm.
something like I talk about. It's like, well, how many, like percentage wise, how many of these, because National Federation of the Blind is like,
Mhm.
10% are Braille literate.
Mhm.
Now, I've heard arguments that maybe that's not quite the case,
Mhm.
but I've yet to see research to say otherwise.
Mhm.
So that's like my biggest thing when I get that, like, oh, we just put Braille on it. It's like that's not really an answer. And
It's
also,
not the solution.
that is not an equitable solution either. Like,
Right.
so that's like one of the biggest is Braille. And then another thing I think is just on the more so like one to one personable side is like, um, you know, I'm thinking about like how you serve different groups of people
Mhm.
and how it's like, well, why? Like why should I emphasize another group of people over the majority when it's like from my standpoint it's the whole trickle down benefit of you deal with more extreme situations and how you design and then that benefits everybody. But for that to be something that other designers that I've talked to don't see that way
Mhm.
is like I don't even understand how, well, I don't understand how that is a thing.
Hmm.
So
So let me see if I understand this correctly. Other designers look at maybe just helping this one population instead of looking at the bigger umbrella of this could help many people and then trickling it down. Am I
yeah,
understanding that right?
yeah, and because I am in that community, I wouldn't say like it's rare that I run into that in particular, but I have run into that where it's like they don't see what is it, like the forest through the trees. Like they
Mhm.
don't see holistically how you start at the top and you're helping so many other people
Right.
experientially. Yeah, so that kind of falls into what ends up creating their assumptions and preconceived notions about what accessibility is, or um, essentially just meeting the standards so they can keep moving along. So yeah, that braille, and then the whole like, well, we're going to deal with the mass,
Mhm.
which doesn't really account for the whole. So
Right. Did we talk about this? There was a book that influenced you to think about the bigger picture and
mm,
trickling it down. What was the book again?
Mismatched by Cat Holmes. Yeah, I
Yes, thank
recommend
you.
everybody to read that book. Yeah, it kind
Okay.
of gets into like the power and influence that designers have over the everyday experiences of people, but also how if you look to a design for extremes, you can help so many other people down the line. Like one of the good examples I like to use is someone who may have one arm. You design something that is easier for them to use, right? So then, if someone is in a cast, now it's easier for them to use. If someone is holding something and can't use his hand now, it's easier for them to use. So it's just
Hmm.
like down the line thinking of how dealing with the extreme helps everybody else.
Mhm. That's so interesting. That would be a hard perspective to work through, because it's just a lot that you have to think about. It's a lot that you have to detail, figure out. That's that's no easy feat. So thank you for thinking about it in that way. For those of us who can't think of it in that way, that's amazing.
Thank you. I think it's just a great challenge in design. I heard Um, so I was working with some fabricators yesterday actually,
Mhm.
and I don't remember exactly what his quote was, but it was something like, um, "Everything we need is a design challenge," and that speaks to exactly like what I think about how everything we need, every situation in which challenges are put in front of us is just another design challenge. But you can address so many things
Mhm.
if you think about it that way, instead of just like a, well, I just want this thing, or these people just want this thing,
Mhm.
and I'm only worried about this group.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Hmm.
but I'd love to hear your
Uh-oh.
experiences with preconceived notions and assumptions, because of course you're living the experience.
There's a lot. So how much time do you have?
All all of it.
um, I think a lot of it is because I'm in two different worlds, the vision impaired and the sighted world. Um, it's almost harder, I would say, because a lot of people look at me and you wouldn't be able to know that I'm vision impaired unless you see things and you know what you're looking for. And so I get a lot of, well, I don't need to help you. You don't have a vision impairment. I don't believe that. And so I dealt with that a lot in school. Um, and just finding out what works best for me and figuring out how to advocate for myself. That was really hard. So those misconceptions, I also have dealt with and seen that other people who are visually impaired or blind, um, a lot of people just look at our community in that we're not capable of doing things. We're not capable of higher thoughts. We just are here and existing. And that's really frustrating. Um, because we're trying to defeat that thought and it's really, really hard. So those would be some of the big ones that I still struggle with today.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think actually to that second point about like not being capable, I
Mhm.
feel like I've also experienced that in the way of where I'm going down this line of accessible thinking and designing, where now then people think that if I'm going this route that I have to hold your hand like all the way through. And I'm like, well, no, these are people. Like they
Mhm.
have experiences, like they have their own minds. They're capable of figuring things out.
Mhm.
I don't have to hold their hand,
Mhm.
all the way. I just need to make it easier to understand for everyone.
Yes.
That's yeah.
Yes. Um, what I've seen in being in the blind community is that sometimes there are people who are very, very resilient
Mhm.
and they think outside the box to figure out a solution for something they're struggling with. Maybe they don't know about all the resources to learn how to do like be independent in their home. Maybe they don't know those resources. And so they'll come up with different things that will help them. specifically in their own home that they can tailor. And so I've seen a lot of resourceful individuals do that. And so it's kind of interesting to see what designs they come up with, if you
Mhm.
will.
Yeah, and I respect that, like, so much. Like, just seeing, what's there's another quote too, like, um I don't remember the quote, but it's
That's
something like
okay.
need breeds innovation, something like that. But that also, on the flip side of what I said about the notion that now I have to like hold everybody's hands through everything,
Hmm.
that is not just something that I've experienced with other designers or just people who I have questions about the work I do, but
Hmm.
also from people within like the blind or visually impaired community where they assume that that's what I'm trying to do, and so
Hmm.
then it becomes very difficult to try to explain or break that kind of thinking. Like, no, I'm not trying. I don't think I'm doing. This isn't like a pity party. Like that's not what's happening here. Like I want to work and collaborate with all kinds of people and
Yeah.
to make greater experiences for everyone.
Yeah. And independence
Right.
for those in different communities. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very hard to break through those different types of thoughts, and some days you feel like you can't continue doing it, but most of the days, a lot of people are becoming more receptive, I would say.
Hmm.
I think a lot of things are being more accepted about different disabilities, different viewpoints. And so I really appreciate that because I know that that wasn't always the case with people who are dealing with disabilities. So I know we're getting into some difficult conversations here.
It's good though, I think. Like, it's important for, like, on the awareness side, people being aware, of the way that other people feel, like, that's important. So,
Yeah,
yeah, and other experiences and perspectives people have are very important to me in particular, so
I agree. Thank you for your willingness to have those conversations.
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that we kind of got off on a tangent, but I love it. It's great. But I do want to ask you the next question. And do forgive me here. I'm gonna get a little closer to my screen here. Okay, your North Star journey.
Mhm.
Since it's been created and it's in the early stages, what are some of the biggest lessons or surprises, good or bad?
Mhm.
What have you seen with that?
Well, I would say, as a whole, especially like at the very beginning, was how receptive people were to it.
Okay.
Like, I didn't, and I mean like the general public.
Okay.
Like when the first time I presented North Star was my sophomore year, end of semester show. So it was winter of 2022, I think,
Okay.
and I presented it at the show as one of many works, but just something that I was actively working on, and people were so like taken aback by the project or impressed that because at the time it was just something I was doing independently. So I was doing all my schoolwork, a part-time job, and just on the side, just doing North Star as I could. Um,
Wow.
so the reception I got, both from the public, but other students, other like faculty, other professors,
Mhm, mhm.
that surprised me. But of course, it was only a motivator for me to keep going. So like that was one thing. And
Okay.
then for that to further to find out that like me presenting North Star because I presented it twice, my sophomore year,
Mhm.
to find out that that presentation led to the school doing an accessibility audit on the campus, like that was crazy.
Oh my
Like that
gosh.
was crazy to me. So just come like in terms of like good things when it comes to um, talking about your work, advocating for what you do, and what North Star does is definitely something I think I've learned, and that only extends like when Keith came to the school, and then me and him are talking about it, and then that leads to me. Um, you know, we're thinking so big, like, okay, well, how do we take this to the Nelson, and how do we do this and do that? So,
Right.
um,
And you're referring to Keith Kirkland, your mentor of sorts?
yeah, he was
Mhm,
my professor, the fall semester of my senior year,
mhm,
and yeah, he's just been kind of like been around like as an advisor for me with
mhm.
North Star and where it's going.
That's really great. That's hard to come by.
Right? Yeah, I mean, such perfect timing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that. I would say also, I had something in mind. You're
That's
about to say
okay.
something though,
I
so you go ahead.
was.
Yeah.
I was. I was gonna say, didn't the school reach out to you to also kind of help make some of those different changes on campus to make it more accessible and stuff?
Yeah. this at the start of this year, the school hired me to redesign their wayfinding system, to create a more equitable, accessible, inclusive, and interactive campus, which is, the whole mission of
Amazing.
North Star, initially. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I would say for sure. Oh, I know where I was going on the
Okay.
lessons thing was back to the presentation. I became a lot more careful with how I presented North Star because I didn't want the preconceived notion that I was trying to come in and um, like design for people.
Mhm,
Like
mhm,
my thing is to design with people, to collaborate with people.
mhm,
So that was something I think I learned. Yeah, because I did a talk at one of the meetings for the National Federation of the Blind's Kansas City chapter,
mhm.
and that was something I was very, very wary of, and tried to be sure to communicate that like I'm looking to work with you. I'm not trying to do something for you without considering like your needs, which is something
Yeah.
I always want to keep in mind because I want it to be uh, what's the word?
Inclusive?
What was that?
Inclusive?
Well, of course that, but I'm looking. There's another word I'm looking for that's like,
Oh, no, okay, let's think. Collaborative? No?
mm,
It's,
I
like,
want it to
right
be
there.
like true. Like true is kind of what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Like the opposite of disingenuous, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to approach it from very like transparent. This is what I do. This is what I'm trying to do, and this is like the role that that you all play in it, which is a big role.
It
Like
is.
you are included in all of this.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
I like how you said you wanna work with the people. So we've talked enough. My background is mental health, and so one of the biggest things is you don't say, "Oh, that person has, whatever diagnosis." It's the person name, and then you say with depression or with this. And
Mhm,
so you're not focusing just on their diagnosis. You're looking at them as a person first. And so
mhm.
I really appreciate your wording on that because I think that's lost sometimes. A lot of people are like, "Oh, there goes Haley, that blind girl." And I'm like, "A little bit more than that, but you're not wrong." You know what I mean? So, pros and cons, but I really appreciate your wording on that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like always keep that in mind. It's like how I'm presenting what North Star is and how I'm
Yeah.
presenting what I do because I don't want that to be misunderstood.
Yeah. No, I think you're doing great in how you're communicating it. So, um, okay, let me see here. I wanted to ask a couple more questions if that's
Mhm.
okay. Um, Okay, exploring conceptual design. Okay, we had previously discussed a glasses project. Do you
Mhm.
wanna talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So this was my fall semester, my junior year. We were challenged with, I think it was um, airport accessibility,
Oh my
and
gosh.
yeah,
Yes.
so that is the thing.
It is a thing, and we've had a podcast about it,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, but so my concept, uh, over time development, but was around essentially a haptic device that you could use that you could use to navigate indoor spaces. It started that way with it being like a device. Now working with Keith and kind of bouncing off ideas, we talked about, does it have to be a whole new thing, or can it be something that already exists? Like, can you put things together? And so that was the first time that I was challenged to think about um, working with what exists instead of trying to create the wheel all over again,
Okay.
which greatly applies to like design as a whole, especially like the more you get into it, is like you're a lot of the times you're putting pieces together
Mhm.
versus trying to create everything over again.
Mhm.
So what we ended up coming up with, or what I ended up coming up with this AI tool that was a combination of existing AI tools that you could have in glasses. And so I was inspired by the Ray-Ban glasses. But my thought was like
Yes.
you could use LiDAR, which uses lasers to map three-dimensional space,
Okay.
in combination with this like seeing AI,
Mhm.
which I believe is in the Ray-Bans, which it can identify objects or things and then search them up or tell you about the thing.
Oh my
And so my
gosh.
thinking was, well, if indoor navigation, as Keith put it, is like the last frontier of navigation because it's the hardest thing to figure out.
Mhm.
What if instead of having to do beacons or some kind of other hardware or software that has to go in the building, what if every person can come in with their own set of glasses that is in real time mapping the space for them and then able to communicate um, haptically with their phone or with a wearable device to navigate them around. So, for instance, you could be standing in an airport with your glasses on and ask for a bathroom, and then the
Mhm.
seeing AI finds a bathroom sign and then translates that to either your wearable or your phone, and can
Mhm.
then through vibration lead you there.
Mhm.
And because it's mapping in real time, it can also keep up with moving objects in space, so that
Oh,
you don't like run into people or
yeah,
run
yeah.
into anything that's above you or not on the ground. Like, yeah, so that was that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And, okay, I wanted to clarify what you mean by haptic. You and I
Mhm.
know because we've had many conversations, but, just for our viewers, if you could explain a little bit more about that?
Mhm. So, okay, I will preface, I am not the haptics expert. That would be
Okay.
Keith. But
That's okay.
from my understanding, haptics is essentially a communication through vibration,
Mhm.
or vibrational or tactile feedback, I
Mhm.
guess would be a better way to think of it. So anything tactile that you is giving feedback to you in some way.
Mhm.
So that could be vibrations on your phone when you get a notification,
Mhm.
or it could be the texture of brick on a building. That's haptic or tactile
Yeah.
feedback. Actually, that may not be quite correct. Haptics has to involve technology, so no, not built environment. But like I said, like the vibration on your phone, like we get a notification, that is haptics.
Yeah, or like, when I get notifications on my Apple Watch, it'll tell me, like, I'm getting a text message.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
That is haptics.
Just wanted to clarify.
Mhm.
And so that is what you were looking at to start with figuring out how to make the airports more accessible, but then it kind of translated over to the glasses and making them a little bit more, um, haptic, but also being able to almost essentially scan your environment and tell
Mhm.
you information.
It's essentially like it's like the wayfinding tool of wayfinding tools. If you had
Mhm.
an object that could in real time 3D map things spaces for you, inside or outside up to a certain extent, you really wouldn't need anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we talked about like doing a whole campaign of trying to get people to just go to new places, just to
Mhm.
explore new places, so that you can map things, and then overall start to create like a library of map spaces.
That'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah, we thought of this whole like explore campaign. It's like
Yeah.
you're not there's no limits anymore.
Yeah.
You can go in a forest, and now these glasses can see like you know
Oh
50
my
feet in front of you.
gosh.
Like that was yeah, the idea.
Yeah. No, honestly though, larger spaces like that, airports, concert halls, it's very intimidating when you can't see all the moving parts and people are just you can't always predict which way people are going to go and stuff like that and it is very scary if you don't know some of the tools that you need to be independent in those situations. Um in one of our previous podcasts about airport situations, I was traveling by myself for the first time as an adult, so I was a late bloomer, but it was with my visual impairment, and so I didn't know where to go, I didn't know where to ask for help, the signs weren't large enough,
Mhm.
and I ended up trying to ask somebody and they didn't give me help, and it was somebody behind a desk, right? Like, I was like, "Oh, maybe this is
Right.
where I need to go." No, it was not, and so I ended up just sitting there crying, holding my cane, like, "I don't know what to do. Do I call my mom? I can't communicate right now, like, I'm just not there." And it ended up happening that, somebody, a janitor, he came up to me and was like, "Do you need some help?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And he
Mhm.
walked me exactly where I needed to go, made sure I was in the right area, and then, funny enough, some guy who was on the same flight, he took it upon himself to also help me through the flight and, like, connect me to my dad when we landed, and it was, like, the best example of, like, people are there to help you
Mhm.
if you can't help yourself, and it was because I was using my cane. Had I not been using my cane, I think I would have been in worse situation, but it would have been nice to have something that could scan the environment and be like, "Haley, go here," or "The restroom's this way,"
Mhm.
all the things that you can't see.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I don't think I knew you at the time of this project. Otherwise, I definitely would have spoken
That
to
would
you
have
about
been
it.
amazing.
But I did interviews. I did um, what are they called? Like questionnaires.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I found some people on YouTube that actually record all of their traveling journeys,
Okay.
and they're visually impaired. So it's like they're
Hmm.
wearing like a harness, I think, or something that has a camera on it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they're recording their experiences as they're traveling. And it
That's
was kind of
cool.
crazy to see from the perspective, um, like the training issues when it came to employees, because
Hmm.
that kind of struck me also. I was like, well, it seems like the biggest problem are the people, and like that, like if you change that, you don't really need much else. Like if you change the systems and the training for people, then that improves a whole lot. But
It can, yeah,
yeah.
it absolutely can. But that takes a lot of different things, a lot of different open-mindedness, I would say, is the biggest key,
Hmm.
and sometimes that's not always there, and that's okay. But yeah, that's interesting. Oh my gosh. You'll have to share with me the people who travel with the viewpoint.
Yes.
I'd be interested
Yeah.
in that.
I'll definitely, yeah, show that to you.
Yeah, and then I can share it with my email list.
Sure. Yeah. It was really cool. Like I said again, it was really like eye opening to me to see what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And kind of like what you said about if you didn't have your cane,
Mhm.
um, like people believe like having to prove that you have visual impairment is crazy to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you're continuously like in one of the videos, I remember the lady, she's saying it over and over that
Mhm.
like she has a visual impairment, which is why she needs help. And
Mhm.
it's like it's not connecting like with the person that she's talking to.
Yep.
And like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I've experienced that too. Yep. A lot of people have, but it does make you think about how you convey what you're going through to people and finding better ways to communicate it. And there's a thing. It's called an identification cane. It's a lighter weight cane. It's not like a fully functioning cane, but it essentially lets people know that you are visually impaired. And so I think it allows people with vision impairment to become better at advocating for themselves and learning how to say things in a way that people will understand it if they don't know anything about visual impairment. So it's a hard process, but it definitely helps, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Something else I just thought of as well that kind of brings us back to the question a little bit
Oh
on the
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
lessons end
Questions.
of it. I like the lessons was just like I'm finding out more and more, at least so far, from
Mhm,
those I've talked to what I've found or researched, some of the things that I'm thinking of and trying to create truly haven't like happened yet.
mhm,
And I think, like, that's really cool, like, even yesterday with the fabricators I was talking to, they were just like, "Man, this is an experiment." Like, this is new to us, like, and I've gotten that feedback from people in other countries, like, that I've talked about, some of the work that I'm doing with is like, "I've never seen anything like this before."
right.
So that's,
Yeah.
like, it and so, yeah, to speak further to that, I do some testing at the Kansas State School of Blind,
Mhm,
and I got some of that feedback also, but the thought was, you know, because this is so new, um, it's really cool that it's new, but you shouldn't necessarily expect it to like make 100% sense right away because
mhm,
no one's experienced stuff like this before. So,
mhm.
um,
I think
yeah,
I told you that too.
yeah, yeah. It's just like yeah, it's we're on a new frontier. It's kind of like where we are with some of these things.
Yeah, but it's so exciting to see how it's progressing and moving forward and how it's being accepted.
Yeah,
That's
it really is because yeah,
yeah.
again, like it becomes so exciting, especially in like design, to truly see things that like are new to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fun time, especially like just like I talking to another fabricator about possibly doing some work for the KCAI project, and
Mhm.
again, it's like, yo, this is cool. Like this is really cool. So yeah, that's great. Like great feedback to get, and something that I'm just keeping in mind is like when it comes to how you compartmentalize things and how you take things in, it's like these things really are new to everyone that I'm bringing it to.
Mhm.
So like, you know,
Absolutely.
temper expectations of what you think should happen.
Yeah, yeah, but it's good to dream big. Good to dream big. Oh my goodness, this is so good. I love it. I don't even we have questions here and we've just been enjoying our chat. So let me see here.
Mm.
I think we're on number 4. Okay, as a design focused initiative, how do you balance pursuing all of your creative thoughts and boundaries while ensuring accessibility and inclusivity, functionality? And how are you keeping this a top priority, if that makes sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
For me, it's like leaning on the background work, leaning on the testing, on the research, on the feedback that I'm getting. That's how you keep things accessible and functional is testing essentially.
Hmm.
Like making sure the things you're coming up with are still working and are still achieving the goals that you set them out to do to the best of you and that design's ability. So yeah, that would be my answer to that. I think like thinking long term would be even bigger, kind of like test groups and case studies because I'm interested in just learning more about our senses and
Hmm.
how we can use them to understand space. So, like smell, I'm very interested in smell, and I've been looking at work from Cecil Tolas. She calls herself a professional in betweener, but she's done some really like great uh, like smell exhibitions? I think that's how I would say it.
Interesting.
So, she did something with the Kemper actually,
Okay.
but she does, like, all these shows where it's all just smells. So, you just come in and you, like, smell things, and that's
Oh
the
my
show.
gosh.
But she's got, like, a crazy lab where she's making all these smells. But yeah, I'm
Love
very
it.
interested in, like, how we could use, smell for navigation, but also memory, especially when considering, older populations and the future of the world because 'cause we're about to age rapidly, so
Yeah. No, smell plays a interesting. I don't even know the word for it, but it unlocks memories for people sometimes, that they haven't thought about for years and years and years. Or, sometimes in a crime situation, the victim will recognize a smell, and then all the memories will come in, and, because when you're in a situation where your brain is not able to understand everything, it's hard to remember all the details, but, like, if you bring in a smell, then it will help you remember sometimes those things that you need to remember. So, yeah, that'd be really cool to see how you could incorporate that all.
yeah, I've got an idea. I won't get into it, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
something
yeah,
that I
keep
that I
it, keep
wanna
it.
do, around smell, as, like, an initial just here's what I'm thinking kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very curious about and it just all leans back into what North Star is, and what it does, creating multisensory experiences.
Mhm.
Those are going to create stronger connections to place,
Oh, yeah.
as well as hopefully, not hopefully, it would create stronger lasting memories and more positive experiences in spaces. So
That'll be
yeah.
really cool. I am so excited to see how this turns out for you.
I don't want to say too much about it.
No,
I'm
I know,
excited
I
about it,
know,
and it's
I
really cool.
know.
But yeah, so yeah, that would be ensuring accessibility and functionality remains top priority. Is overall testing,
Yeah.
continuous testing.
And then you just gather your feedback, and you're keeping track of all of that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
bring the feedback in. Like so, more so. I'm starting to do more recently is recording everything, just
Mhm,
audio recording everything, and then
mhm,
I'll just sit with it, just listen to it back
mhm.
over and over, and I'll just pull things from it. We're looking for like qualitative data, but of course, quantitative. We're just looking at the numbers,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
listening to the numbers because that's something I know can be a challenge at times too, where a designer or anyone gets in their head what they want to do,
Mhm.
and so they only really want to hear what's going to help them get to that end.
Yes.
So yeah,
I
yeah,
understand that.
being open to change is big too.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, goodness. This is great. Okay, let me see here. I wanna make sure we're getting all the questions here. Oh, yeah, what advice would you give for future engineers, little baby engineers who are coming up? What kind of advice would you give about getting involved in accessibility and advocacy and, inclusive design? What would you say to somebody who was just kind of coming up in that world?
Well, I'll preface also, I am not an engineer, so yeah, I'm not an engineer. But
Yeah,
for
yeah.
anyone, I would say it's just be open. Like first, be willing to communicate what you're interested in, what those passions are, and where they lie, and be open to what people bring to you. Because for me, again, it all started with I advocated for this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm doing, and then 2 years later, here I am. So I would say it's just like being open and communicating, advocating for your interests and your passion for um, this field or the accessibility inclusivity space. Um, that's pretty much what I did was just like this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm doing, you know. So and of course now that I'm in it, there's other things you could do like reaching out to people, you know, like you yeah beyond just doing the work and being quiet, keeping it to yourself. Reach out, try to talk to people, communicate and try to build connections where it makes sense, like with you, myself, and the whole
Yeah.
person, or with me and Keith, or so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes back to advocating for yourself.
Mhm.
What you're interested in and what you want to do, what you want to help, who you want to help.
Yeah, and figuring out how to communicate that to other people
Yeah,
is sometimes what is, difficult.
yeah, and I think that, and it takes time.
Mhm.
Like again, like with myself, like it takes time and experience to just figure out, like, okay, well, maybe I know you mean well, but you're not saying it right, like
Right.
that kind of thing. So
I get that.
yeah, that just takes time and experience, I'd say. But
Mhm.
be willing to talk, communicate, find opportunities, resources, then also be open to the ones that come to you.
Yeah. You never know what kind of resources are out there until you start talking to people.
You really don't. And I'm finding that more and more every day. Like things are just popping up that I didn't know existed.
Mhm.
And they're like insane.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
for sure. Yeah, that would be that. It's like, yeah, just advocate, communicate, um, share, and be receptive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. It's hard to when you're kind of in it, you're doing your research, it's kind of hard at first to be receptive of people because you kinda have your own thoughts and everything. But I think once you get past that and open up and are like, "Okay, I need to actually listen to what is being told to me," or you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Just opening that door and getting out of your own head is, hard, but necessary, and it opens up great opportunities, as you are aware. So,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
great
Yeah, definitely.
advice. Great advice. I appreciate you taking your time and coming back
Mhm.
and speaking with us. Um, we are so excited for the adventures that are coming your way. So please send us any updates. Um, what would be a good way that people could look into your progress if they aren't getting updates from us? What would be a good way for people to reach out to you?
So this is one part that still needs a bit more addressing for me is how I'm
Okay.
gonna handle that. So at the moment, because I'm not like a big social media person,
Okay.
so like that makes it tough. Like I have the handle for North Star,
Okay.
and I have plans to do stuff in the future,
Okay.
but I'm such a like a I don't know, stickler perfectionist about how I like do everything. It's like,
Yeah.
nothing's gonna happen, So at the moment I'd probably say my LinkedIn is what I'm most active on.
Okay.
And then also the North Star website gets updates with projects. So as projects happen, updates will be there. So my LinkedIn, North Star website, which is northstarinitiative.net. And then the Instagram handle is the North Star Initiative. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's great information to know, and then we'll update as much as you wanna share information with
Yeah,
us.
for sure. I think, I think that'll be great, especially when I get into this whole like smell thing. Yeah, because
Yes.
I'll need people who are willing and open to smell. So, yeah, so that for sure. Another thing, I guess I could just make this. I don't know, it's not necessarily like an announcement, but
Yeah.
just for awareness sake. Um, if all goes well,
Mhm.
um, this coming May 9th, I believe, the KCI campus will be open for its end of semester show or end of the year show. And at that show should be the first like pilot phase rollout of the KCI Reimagine project. So if you are local and you want to check it out, it should be up in the Junius B. Irving Design Studios building. So
Okay.
yeah, that's an invitation to you as well, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll share that information and get it out on our social medias. That's great information to know. Um, yeah, please send us any updates. We are more than happy to share anything, and, it has been great speaking with you today. Please let us know how we can help in the future,
Yeah, thank
okay?
you. Yeah, thank you for having me again. Again, I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me in the first place. This is cool.
No,
I've
this
never done
is
a
great.
podcast before, so
Oh, yeah, that's right, I
yeah.
forgot. Oh, okay, okay. Well, thank you so much for getting out of your comfort zone. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so thrilled to have Aaron here. Please ask any questions. We will get you in contact with Aaron and send all the questions to you. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our podcast. Today, I'm going to go through some of the monthly events that the Whole Person hosts. Again, my name is Haley Korf. I am your vision impaired host today, so bear with me. I've got a lot of notes here, okay? All right, the first event is Getting Social. It's the first Friday of every month. The next event is Time to Spare, and that is the third Wednesday of every month. That is our accessible bowling open to everyone who has a disability. The next event is Mind's Eye View, and that is the first Monday of every month. That is more geared towards people who are vision impaired or blind to get together and talk about some of the difficulties. Then after that, we have our DIY skills for young adults, age range 18 through 24, and that is the last Wednesday of every month. Brain Injury Peer Support Group, the second Thursday of every month. And then Tech Talk, the second Monday of the month. And that is also geared towards people who are vision impaired or blind to get together and talk a little bit more about accessibility issues. If you have any more questions, feel free to look it up at thewholeperson.org. And again, please join us for any event at any time. Thank you.